Hey guys, it's Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to give y'all a PCOS update. I have not done an update for like literally months. So I decided to do PCOS update just because I have really exciting news to share with y'all. But yeah, before I start with the news or anything, for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm going to go back and basically explain my journey to y'all. So I've always had problems with getting my periods like since I was little. So I would literally go a whole year without being on my period, and sometimes I would go with months of just having really heavy periods to the point that I would be anemic. And so when I got married, I knew that eventually I would want to start a family, but in my plans when I got married was not to have kids right away. So when you grew up in a Hispanic community, it's like literally like a sin not to be pregnant right away, or not being married and already pregnant, or not already having a kid and then get married. Like it's literally a sin. So I've had a lot of people judge me, ask me, when are you gonna have a kid? Like literally within like months, like literally within a month of me, getting married, they're already asking me if I was pregnant yet, or just anything that has to do with kids. And personally, when I got married with my husband, I let him know that I did not see myself as a mother. I did not want to have a kid, just because I never felt comfortable or attracted to a kid. Like I remember seeing other people at church that when they would see a kid, a baby, they would be like, oh my god, how cute. I felt weird, honestly. I didn't like holding other people's babies, other babies that are like family wise. So for me, I felt like maybe that just wasn't my path, was to be a mom. So I was married to my husband for a whole year, and I honestly would see that he really wanted one. Like you can tell, when your husband wants one. And so I was like, well, maybe, maybe I should just give him a child, Not because, I felt bad for him or anything. I just, started warming up to the fact that I'm eventually gonna be a mom. So I stopped taking my birth control, and I stopped within a year of our marriage, and literally spent like 6 months and nothing was happening. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, why am I not getting pregnant? I was thinking that maybe it was like the birth control, that maybe because I took it for so long or whatever. And so because literally like the birth control, I used it for so long, like even before I was married. And that was because it would help me with my period, because I would get my period every month with just birth control. So like my gynecologist, provided me the birth control since I was literally probably 16, just for my periods to come regularly, because sometimes I would bleed a lot and would be anemic because I didn't have control over, my body was not controlling my hormones or anything. And so going back to 6 months and not getting pregnant, I finally decided to go to my gynecologist, and I let her know that we were actively trying and I was not getting pregnant, didn't understand why. And so she did a lot of blood work. We had a very long conversation of like, all these different symptoms that I was feeling. And we came to the conclusion that she diagnosed me with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And literally she told me that, polycystic ovarian syndrome causes infertility. It causes cysts in your ovaries, which I did have a cyst in my ovaries when I was 11, and I actually had to have this operation done because the cyst that was in my ovaries, it was literally wrapped around my ovaries. It weighed up to 9 pounds, like literally a baby. And so they had to literally like open me up, like for them to get it out, because that's how big it was. I literally have like a big old scar, kind of looking like a C-section basically. And I was only 11 when that happened. So I don't understand why my gynecologist, that I had when I was 16 never diagnosed me with PCOS, but the one that I had, when I got married, she quickly told me, you have PCOS, so when I heard that that it's infertility and whatnot, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of felt bad, like I kind of felt upset and worried to tell my husband, because since he is Hispanic, just it's not normal for a Hispanic person not to get pregnant. Like literally, you just look at them and they get pregnant. Like that's how it is. So I remember getting home, and I told my mom, and I was like, they diagnosed me with this. I kind of knew something else was going on. So for me, it wasn't like a big shock, but I was just so scared of telling my husband. So finally, I got the courage that day to tell my husband that they diagnosed me with PCOS. I researched it before I told him, just because I wanted to get the facts right. And it was scary, but it was kind of like eye-opening, because then I realized that my husband was, accepting of it, and he had my back, and he told me, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of things that we can go through for us to have a baby. He didn't care about the prices or anything, so my plan was that I wanted to get pregnant on my own. So I had already told the doctor if there was a possibility that I can just get pregnant on my own instead of having to depend on treatment, which she quickly said yes. I had to get on this pill called metformin, that everyone knows that metformin is for, people who are diabetic. And so I have a lot of family members who are diabetic, and I was scared, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm the only one in the family, who is not diabetic. And I was like, I don't want to take that pill, why did I take it? But taking that pill regulated my period. Like it was like a birth control, but not like, it doesn't prevent me from getting pregnant. So I started getting my period every month, and I was on it for probably 6 months, for the remainder of of that year. And so I remember the beginning of this year, it's around January, I told the doctor, you know what, I really want a baby. I guess it's from all the pressure of everyone, from my family, not from my close family, but from my aunts and uncles, and pressure from people from church. They put in my head that I had to have a baby. It was literally like a sin not having a baby. So I felt so much pressure to getting pregnant that I told her that I wanted to start on treatment. So in February, I started treatment. I started on Clomid or clomidopine. It's the same thing. And so I was ovulating, but I wasn't getting pregnant. I took it until June or May or June. No, I took it till June. June was literally like my last dose. So I took it to June, and I was still not getting pregnant. I was ovulating each month, on the same day, but I was not getting pregnant. And I think it was because I was so stressed about, me ovulating and not getting pregnant every month. I was just so scared of doing a pregnancy test and not coming out positive. So every time it would get negative, I'd just be like, really? Negative? This thing isn't working, And so I remember that July, a week before I went to my mission trip, I was on my period for a whole week. And for me, that's not normal. My periods on metformin and on Clomid was literally for only three days. So I went to the doctor because I was scared that, I didn't want to go to mission trip still being on my period and being so heavy. So I remember I had an appointment on that Thursday before I left to the mission trip, and she told me that she didn't see anything wrong, but she was gonna take me off of the Clomid just because, you know, she thinks that maybe my body, like, you know, wasn't reacting right with the medication. And you know, I just needed to relax my body, get off of the medication for a while. And so I accepted. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I went on this mission trip, and one of the people who went with us on the mission trip, we had this really deep conversation, me and him, days before we came back. And he's married, obviously. So he's married, and he just gave me like words of wisdom. He gave me so many advice, like marriage advice, and you know, all the things that he's learned from all his mistakes, from all his divorces. And so it literally opened my eyes to so many things that has been going on in my life. So I came back determined that I was going to go back to school, that I was going to, you know, just focus on going to school and, you know, being, going to church and, you know, just being someone, you know. And so I came back, I talked to my husband, I'm gonna go to school, focus on school, no babies. I told him, no babies. I'm gonna try to finish school this year, and you know, if God wants to give me a child, he's gonna give it to me. If he doesn't, then he's not. So I took that off of my mind. Like, it was such a relief, no lie. Like, just to not think about, oh, I'm ovulating this day, like I have to get pregnant or stuff like that. So we left the church that we were going to just because we thought it was so toxic. I mean, we love the people who are there, but literally it was so stressful on me just to hear whispers and stuff. So we left the church, we started a new church, and starting a new church and, you know, opening your eyes onto wanting to try new things in life, and, you know, trying to fix your marriage problems too. So literally within a month, in August, it was August 4th was my my uncle's, you know, 2-year anniversary from his death. And so that day, I remember that I was so emotional. Like, I was so emotional. That day we went to swim at my uncle's pool. I was so emotional. I didn't know why. I mean, I knew why, but it was like if I it happened like yesterday. Like, I was just crying and crying and crying. And my husband was like, what's going on? Like, why do you feel like this? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, you know, like if he just died yesterday, or they just told me the news, you know? And so didn't think anything of it. We went, and I tried learning how to swim because I don't know how to swim. And, you know, me and my husband were still having a little bit of problems. You know, I'm not going to into that. I'll probably get into it in a different video. But we were still having a little problems, but we were okay, you know? So August 6th was one day I was washing the dishes, and in my mind I was like, well, the first week of every month I start to cramp, my boobs feel really sore, and I get pimples, like, you know, that's when I know I'm gonna start my period. Well, that week, nothing. Like, my boobs were sore, but I was not cramping like really bad. I didn't have no pimples, and I was like, what if I'm pregnant? Like, that's like the first thing that came into my mind, but I was like, no, like, you're not. So I was like, well, you know, I have one pregnancy test. You know, it came with my ovulation kit. So I was like, why not do a pregnancy test and see? I mean, it doesn't hurt to even see. So I did the pregnancy test, and it came out positive. And I kind of feel guilty because I was going through so many stuff in my life. Like, I finally decided to, you know, go to school. Me and my husband were having marriage problems. And I remember I called my friend Isenia, and she didn't answer me. And I was like, oh my God, why isn't she not answering me? So I ended up calling my friend Emily. And as soon as she answered, I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, Emily, I'm pregnant. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, understanding why I was so upset because, of all the marriage problems that we're having. And so she just told me, God sent you this gift, so you have to accept it. And at that moment, I didn't see it that way. But once I started talking to my mom and I told her, I did a pregnancy test, it came out positive. She told me, this is something that you and your husband always wanted. So enjoy it. And so, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did not think I was pregnant. As soon as my husband got home, I didn't even plan to tell him because I wanted it to be a surprise. Like, I was gonna do like this big old surprise thing, but I was just I have really bad anxiety. So I am like always like freaking out, like, is it real? And so I went to go buy a box of like literally 6 pregnancy tests in the box. And I took all 6 that whole week and they all came out positive. So in total, I took 7 pregnancy tests, all positive, and I still didn't want to believe it. Like, it was just so unbelievable because it took me this long, and then for finally to get a positive, it's just like, like you just think that, it's just playing tricks on you. So I finally scheduled an appointment, and they did a sonogram. Yes, I was pregnant. I also did blood work. And yes, it came out that I was pregnant. So I literally knew within I was 4 weeks because when they did the sonogram, they couldn't really see it yet, but the thing was coming out that I was that I was pregnant. My blood test was coming out that I was pregnant. So they determined, like, from my period and my ovulations thing, they determined I was 4 weeks. And so now I am currently 13 weeks. And literally, I still can't believe it. Maybe because it's not like fully like kicking yet, so I can't really feel it. So I'm just like, I don't know. I'm really happy. Me and my husband are in a better place now. We started marriage counseling, and to all of the women out there who have PCOS or have infertility problems, do know that, don't give up. God knows when to give you a child. And if you're going through any problems with your husband and you come out pregnant, see it as a good thing and not see it as a bad thing, like how I thought it would be. And I literally regret, thinking that way. But, at the time I was going through so much. A lot of stuff was going in my mind. But I am so happy to announce that I am pregnant. And like, I'm not gonna lie, it's really scary because I am following a Facebook group of women who have PCOS on Facebook. And so I see a lot of miscarriage stories. I see a lot of stories where that the doctor tells them, oh, it's impossible for you to get pregnant. I'm so glad my doctor never told me that. She was always positive. She always told me, you're gonna have a baby and I'm gonna make sure you're gonna have a baby. And so, for her to believe in me and for my family to believe, having friends and my family there, my mom, my dad, my sister, having Emily, Yesenia, Eric, Stephanie, all of them, Francisco, always like giving me advice, like, no, you can do it, like, don't worry, God has a time for you. Like, they were literally in my ear the whole time, like. And I would cry to Emily, I would cry to Yesenia about it. I'm like, but I really want a baby. And so when I found out I was pregnant, it was tears of freaking out because of the problems, but then of happiness because I was like, finally I got pregnant. And scared because I didn't want to have a miscarriage, So till this day, I still live with that of being scared that, I might have a miscarriage or something could happen. I don't know, but every day I pray to God that he protects me and my baby. And everyone from church, like, they've been so supportive, like, about me being pregnant. They don't really know us because we only have been there for a couple of months, but it's like if like this big old family, because literally every time they see me, they're like, oh, how's the baby doing? Or when we start to pray, there is not one person who gets close to me and just prays for me just because I shared with them my story and my struggle of not able to have a baby for literally 2 years. So yeah, don't lose faith, and God has a plan for you, and I can't wait for me to finally meet and see my little baby, and I will be giving y'all updates each month. So far, these 3 months, no cravings, nothing. It's more like I can't eat because it makes me sick. So literally, I've been depending on just like fruit, yogurts, and granola bars. That's all. Like, literally, that's all I've been eating. I don't know what's going on. I can eat restaurant food, but when it comes to homemade food, like, I feel like I can't cook, or I don't know. Like, I see my husband eating the food and I'm just like, well, I wish I can be like you, because I can't eat that like that. But I don't know, maybe it's just me who's spoiled or something. But when it comes to home food, not even my grandma's food, I can't even eat it. Like, just the smell of it just gets to me. I haven't eaten my mom's food because I haven't gone over there, but any kind of food that has to do with homemade food is just not, it doesn't, I eat it and I go throw it up. Like, it's just not, it's not for me. So I usually just eat fruits, and yeah, I have to do a lot of exercise, obviously. And I think one of the main things that I'm worried about is actually gaining a lot of weight. So I've been literally just chugging down a bunch of water, never missing a walk in my pregnant life right now. So yeah, so that's the news I wanted to share with y'all. I'm sorry I made it so long and I shared the news towards the end, but the reason I did that was because I wanted all of y'all who are going through the same thing I'm going through know that, after all of the stuff that I have gone through and, been through, I finally got what I wanted. So don't give up. If your husband does not support you, then he's not for you. Because I got so much support from my husband, and I'm so grateful for that, because honestly, I didn't even get some support from my family members, from my uncles or aunts or whatever, from people who were close to me. And for my husband to be there telling me it's okay, like, I still love you, it helped a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to end it here. And like I said, I'm going to be updating you every month. So I'm just gonna end it here, and I hope you enjoyed my PCOS update / story time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Give this video a big thumbs up for me. And for all of those women who are struggling, leave me down in the comment your story. I would love to know. And if you haven't done so, on Facebook, there's a PCOS group that you can always follow. You can ask questions. I asked a bunch of questions. They were literally the first ones to know I was pregnant. So I asked a lot of questions, and with your medications or whatever, whichever thing you have, it's okay to ask there, and a lot of women will answer if they're going through the same thing or whatnot. But yeah, I highly encourage you to try that. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.